All right, Lagos. It is 15 minutes, going to 5. You are tuned in to Business Hub here in Smooth 98.1. And as you know, it is that time we get to talk about everything business related, especially for you who is trying to build your business. You know, that small idea that's been niggling at the back of your head, and you're wondering, should I even build on it? Well, on Business Hub, it's all about SMEs. That is what we are all about here in Business Hubs. Yes, small, medium enterprises. And we have a new report from Intelpoint on the state of MSMEs, that is micro, small, medium enterprises, and how they're faring. So it is always with great joy to talk about how businesses are thriving and what exactly they're doing in their space. And happy to have a guest to discuss this report with us. And talking about my guest is joining me this evening is in the person of Yinka Awonanya.
I
Uh,
was
okay. So I think that's a typo. Awosonya. I beg your pardon. So I think there's a typo somewhere. Apologies on that. Yes, Yinka Awonanya. He's the director, research and business intelligence at Intelpoint, and like I said, glad to have you with me this evening.
thank you for having me. Good to
All
be
right,
here.
Lagos.
Yep.
As always, you can be a part of the conversation. You're wondering how? Share your thoughts, your observations, and everything else interesting that you have experienced, either as an MSME and points that you can share as well so others can learn and grow. Well, the WhatsApp platform is 0911 999 0911 999 0981, and we'll take your contributions on that platform. And talking about the conversation, I like us to, as they say, start from the top. So I'd like you to tell us how long you took to put this report together, because it seems data is money and it is time. How did you guys put it together? So yes, you're in the best position to tell me. So walk us through it.
Yeah, so of course, getting data is not cheap, and considering the fact that we have to have people across the nation to talk to MSMEs, entrepreneurs about okay how they are doing their business finances and all that. Yes, so that actually started last year, late last year, and then
Oh, okay.
after that, so the major part was just the data gathering, cleaning it up, and then trying to, okay, yes, now that we've gotten the data, I need to like, what story are we telling? What are the trends that we notice and putting those together? Yeah, just some months to do and then review and all that. So, but yes, at the end of the day, Alice, so since we dropped, we've been getting feedback about how good editing is, which is more like a yes, it shows that we are doing something.
I like that. It shows that we're actually doing something and there's positives too.
Exactly,
Because
exactly.
every time you think about SMEs, you're thinking, are these people even doing anything? Is there anything one can gather and use as a case study and see what it is, what especially in Nigeria, what are the pros? What are the cons? How does one even say this is where you want to put money in? Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
SME, MSMEs are a key part of any economy, the global economy, they are a key part of it. Take Nigeria, for instance, as at the last figures, so MSMEs accounted for 40, almost 48% of the national GDP. These
Okay.
guys alone.
That's
And
impressive.
aside contributing to the GDP, they also employ people. So you have someone
Employers of
employing
labor. True,
two people,
true.
one or two people, one or two people, and then you have the other guys that are doing upward of 10 people, 50 people, 100 people in their employ. So beyond contributing to the GDP, they are also providing employment opportunities, making sure that other people get to put food on the table and all that. So yes, it's a whole basically everything you go to the market, you are buying from an SME. The big guys are also relying on SMEs
I
to also
agree.
to also transact their businesses and others. So like it's an entire they like control the entire economy. They have huge control on the economy, which makes report like this
very important. And
Exactly important to see, okay, what are these guys facing? How can government, policymakers, and other people support them?
mm, that is absolutely great. Well, that is a sigh of relief. We see that this as MSMEs are putting they're contributing to the economy and in a positive and on a positive note. Anyways, let's start talking about money. Money is important
Very
where
well.
MSMEs are concerned. So, um, I saw some reports as well, and I know that you've also done. But anyways, let's talk about the method of financing for MSMEs, right? From your report, it found that 51% of the MSMEs that you surveyed are using their personal savings to finance their businesses, whilst 16.9% use support from family and friends. Another update is that 68% if we
In
want to,
total.
you know,
Yeah.
in a bigger
Yeah, personal
shell,
savings and friends and
yeah,
family.
they're doing using both.
Yeah.
Why is this? Why aren't they getting the loans? Why didn't aren't people well, investors getting in on this? Why are they having to use personal funds, go to family and friends? And yeah, family and friends, where the well, I've heard that in business that if family and friends don't support your business, then you shouldn't be in business.
Exactly. So, the simple answer to that is accessibility.
Okay.
One, it's your saving. It's easy for you to access. You are not
Mm.
accountable to anybody. You're only accountable to the business. So the fact that it makes it easy for you, okay, I just have my saving. I've been saving towards it. You plans for it. So once you are done saving, you are basically in control. So that is one of the, and then there's no thinking of, okay, yes, if I collect this money from a bank, I have to think of paying back the loan plus interest, which
Oh
means that will eat into my
yes.
profits.
Yes.
And then you are like, okay, yes, if you're someone that, okay, if I go and collect this money, I'm going to use it to do something else. The honor is on me to then pay the bank back. I whichever one, but it's easy. Okay, it's my money, yes. And then you're starting a business to call up your friends and family. Yeah, I'm starting this business. So I people believe in you, they put money together for you. So those ones are easy access. So say, okay, yes, the other ones that is also a little bit easier is a cooperative on the fact that the interest rate is not as high as what a commercial bank would charge. Yes, yeah, commercial banks in Nigeria give loans to MSMEs, but then there is the fact that, okay, yes, you apply today. Yes, some might promise you that in the next 48 hours you might get it, but there's the fact that you're just starting, you don't might not have the necessary documentations to present to the bank to get this loan. And even if it's been running, they might want to see some traction before to, okay, yes, we'll give you this. So at the end of the day, it's not about accessibility. I'll have this savings
Right.
set up. I don't need anyone's permission to put it in my business. Friends and family, I just call them up. Okay, yes, please. I'm doing this. Support me. And they
Support
support
me.
you, even though you guilty,
Right.
but they still support you. So it's just the easy accessibility that makes them to, okay, yes, I'll just do this myself rather than go any other route. That is just it.
Mm.
So that they can
Well,
just easily.
I agree. It's
Less stress.
easier to reach out to family and friends and see, and even your own personal funds
Personal
because you know
savings.
there's no how I want this business to survive. I want
You
it
want to
to reach
put all yourself into it.
yes. So if I lose, I lose. If I win, I win. So it's a you put everything in and you're hoping to achieve because like you said, truth be told, once you borrow money from an institution, your heart will
You're
never be
thinking.
at
You're
rest.
thinking of how
Oh
to,
my
what are the
goodness, how am
ways,
I?
yeah,
Yes.
should anything happen, you're thinking, okay, what is going to be the backup plan? Because you need to pay it back.
Anyways, it's good that we're having this conversation. And like I said, MSMEs, kudos
No,
to
no, no.
you for all you do.
They are the key to the economy.
I agree. I cannot agree less. All right, so let's get into more of the data that you shared. So from the data, only 15.7% actually had access to bank loans. What is the challenge really with getting bank loans, or are banks usually more reluctant to help MSMEs? And how does one even overcome maybe not just the MSMEs, but how did you broker that barrier and challenge between the bank and the MSME?
Okay, a few things. So there is the fact that there are some people that, yes, they are running small businesses, but they are using their personal bank account instead of using registered bank account.
Ah,
And with that, you can approach it. If you approach a bank to collect a loan, you are collecting a loan as a personal person, and there's a limit to how much you can get. But if it's a bank account, so that makes it a little bit easier. That's on one part. There's a part
okay.
about, okay, yes, these people are just starting, which I mentioned earlier. They might not have the necessary documentation to present to the bank. Yes, there are
Right.
banks that are giving that. There's hardly any commercial banks in Nigeria that doesn't have a product specifically for small businesses.
Okay.
There's hardly any commercial banks in Nigeria that, yes, the ratio at which the banks are at which the banks are giving the small businesses to almost they are giving the big businesses, yes, is very small, which
True.
needs improvement. But then they are still doing it. So it's now a case of, are these small businesses presenting themselves to assess it? That's on one
Mm,
part. There's also the other part about the fact that, yes, um banks are not evenly distributed across the country.
okay.
There are states in Nigeria that have less than 10, 15 commercial bank branches.
Ooh.
No jokes. Like they have less than 10, 20 commercial bank branches.
So you literally have to travel a distance
Travel to
just
get
to.
to the exactly. You literally have to travel
Mm,
to really get
that
to
would
the.
just be a deterrent, actually.
So, wait, so say, then, no, I think the one we did was less than 100. I think the list was about 70 something. That was a report we did 2 years ago. But then you
Okay.
have states like Lagos with over a
Oh,
thousand commercial bank branches.
so
You
many
have Port
branches.
Harcourt, you have Abuja with big no. Then you have states that have less than 100. So how does for a state of about say 40, 10, 15 local governments. So that means there are local government that don't have commercial bank branches. So there's the accessibility on that part. So where do they go to? So
Mm,
there's the accessibility, and then okay, do you need to get so it's a case of yes. And then you have agency banking standard that people are using, but then not everyone knows that this agency banking are providing some of these services that they actually need.
okay. So there's the part of information, getting the right
Information,
information. There's also the accessibility of the
accessibility
structure
of
of
exactly
the
the
structure
infrastructure.
itself.
Yeah,
Because some people just want to see, okay, so I know XYZ bank
yeah,
and I want to go straight to the bank because I trust that with XYZ bank, this is what I can go in, ask my questions, and I'll be certain that once I put all the things that they've required of me, they'll give me what
I
I need.
get exactly. But
But
then
as
there's a case
opposed
of,
to, yeah,
are
okay,
they
go ahead.
close to you?
Having to travel, even in Lagos, the thoughts as well of, oh, I need to do a transaction, and I am thinking within my environment, I can't find my bank. I have to travel maybe 3 or 4 or 5 streets away just because I need to
That's
make a transaction in my own bank. It will be a deterrent. It will just put certain people off, and they'll be like, you know what? No, this is not worth it. I could just look for any other closer one. So
it.
those are part of the things, and
Take
I
states
can
like
understand.
Taraba, Ebonyi, or Yobe. They have each individual. They have less than 25 commercial bank branches. Less than 25. So it makes it like this. And when people can walk out to, and it's there's someone under the umbrella, there's a trust issue to that person. Can I trust to give this person my information?
Right.
So let me walk into a bank. I know that yes, I'm speaking to a bank official.
Exactly.
So that
That's a
trust.
problem. Hmm. Anyways, Lagos, there's so much to talk about, especially with this report. And it's interesting because we'll also be talking about gender. Yeah. Gender balance is another thing that was observed in this report. We'll talk about that, but let's take this quick breather when we get back in. The conversation will continue here in Smooth 98.1. Okay, let's just quickly take that breather and we'll get back in. Just like you said, that physical, the fact that I can see a physical bank, go in, do my transaction makes it more convenient, and people trust that as opposed to, huh? I'm just going to use computer and do. If the person is not well computer literate, that is even a bigger problem because you're putting in your data and someone else can take it and run with it. And then the small coins that you have saved, somebody else is taking it. It will literally put that person off and be very scary. So, so much indeed to, get into. And I'm enjoying the conversation.
Visionary leadership of Governor Hope over Imo State is being transformed. Security has been reclaimed. Digital skills are woven into the fabric of its youth. And governance has become a conversation where the people are heard and action follows. This is not just a state. It is a promise of growth, of innovation, of a future built on the strength of its people. A new Imo is on the rise. Imo State, the heartland state. It's all about the big song.
I love my radio. It just keeps me anchored. And of course,
It's all about all the information I can get. And it's all about the great ingredient you need for your journey home. All the views I can get. The smooth drive home.
All right, let's get back in. Yes, Lagos, it is 33 minutes now, gone past 5. You are tuned in to Smooth 98.1. Yes, we are on Business Hub. That's the time we're at now, talking about MSMEs and how it is they're literally faring. And thankfully, we have a report that was put together by intelligence, by intelligence at Intelpoint. Yes. And thankfully, I have my guest in the person of Yinka Awonanya. He is a director and research and business intelligence at Intelpoint, and it's been mind blowing. Just see, sometimes when you have this data accessible, right, that's when you're able to understand things in its true light. You think that these things don't matter, but data,
The data and then tells a different
it
story.
expands how it makes you see things for how they truly are. And I'm actually glad to have seen this report. Let's talk more about this the report, because it is stated that 9.7% of this people got their, for well, the people you ask questions, interviews, and all that, they got their money from investors. Well, for that number to increase, how can the MSMEs themselves be more appealing to investors? Because, hey, the whole idea of starting a business is to grow. And obviously, certain things aren't put in place. That's why they don't get the investors in. What can they do to improve that?
Okay, so before an investor, so stake a startup, for instance, if a startup is raising, so there are a lot of there are due diligence that the investor is doing to make sure that yes, the business is running as it should run. The entrepreneur, the founder is not dipping hands into the company's purse for personal expenses and all that. And then I mentioned earlier that you have entrepreneurs, MSME owners that are using their personal account, which means that if a friend send them money, it's in the same account. If they make sales, revenue is coming to the same account. So it kind of like there is no line between the business and the person, which is common with MSMEs.
MSMEs, yeah.
Except you want that yes, you've grown big to the point that yes, now
You
you're
cannot
dealing with
sustain
some
yourself. Yeah.
corporate entities that mandates that for them to do business with you, you have to be registered, you're using your business account and all that. So
Mm.
yes, so for MSMEs to like, okay, yes, prepare this themselves for investment, just making sure that they right from start. And if they don't do it from start, as soon as they get as soon as possible, need to set some procedures into okay, yes, this is how money is coming, this is how money is going out, this is everything, this is how we operate so that when an investor comes and say, okay, yes, how do you do your things? What are your profit margins? Off the top of that, I can tell you, okay, yes,
Yeah.
I buy this for 8,000 naira and I'm selling it for 1,050 naira. Not okay,
Mm.
yes, depend on the market. No, knowing everything about their business so that you wake them up and say, okay, yes, tell me about this. So they're able to convince an investor to say, yes, I'm putting money in. For in most cases, small businesses, especially smaller ones, the
Mm.
investors are basically just friends and family. Yes, there's ones that will give you money for free. And then there's, yes, I'm giving you this money,
Okay.
no interest, but you are paying me back.
Okay. Okay. Mm. Okay, that is interesting. Well, let's still go into your report because I've seen that governments gave some grants, and you have that number at the stats says 6.6% got their money from government grants. Should we be looking more at state governments in this matter as opposed to the federal government, or
Uh,
should one be looking at both?
I think you should be looking at every one of them, states, local, federal.
Right.
Because of the importance of these businesses to the economy. They are
Mm.
not only yes, they contribute directly to the states, but then at the end of the day, it affects the entire economy of the nation. So all the three governments should play a role in making sure that yes, the businesses get the kind of support that they need.
Mm. Okay, that is absolutely interesting, and I hope that they will be able to get more grants. And it's not just getting the grants; it's putting themselves in that space that they can actually get this
Get the
grant.
grant.
Because,
And
yeah,
and there's also the
that
fact that yes, get the grant and use the grant for actually what it's meant for.
mm, well said,
Because I can
well
just say,
said.
yeah, I can easily say it's government money and I just use it as
Ooh, it's government money. See,
go and marry a third wife.
hopefully not. Oh my days. But yeah, interesting outlook that that some people can take this from. But let's get further into this one because I'm itching to get to another point. But from the report, he also looked at longevity and he said 34.7% of MSMEs have been running the firms from 0 to 4 years, while 39.3% from 5 to 9 years. So in total, it states that 74% have been around for under 10 years. So if a business has been around for 10 years or at least under 10 years, why is the time so short? And how does one improve on the longevity of any business? And it's a thing. You hear a business, you're thinking that they'll be able to pass it on to the next generation. We hear about big conglomerates in the abroad. So why is it that we can have that replicated here?
Okay, so for MSME, so mostly, especially the smaller ones, the micro
Mm-hmm.
and the small ones. So it's a one-man business. It's just the entrepreneur and one or two or three other people supporting. So
Mm-hmm.
in that case, they are not really thinking about a uh, uh, um, a succession plan. What they're just thinking are running their business. And in most cases, they don't have a plan. If anything happens,
It is with them.
so if they die, the business dies. If any, and then that is on one part. There's also the part of yes, there are economic challenges that affect everybody and affect business as well. And over the last couple of years, we've had businesses saying they are shutting down because of challenges, power issue, FS issue, and all that. So those
Right.
also contribute to how long a company will say. Because if you are running an SMEs that is relying on forex, or you are buying, you are importing them, the last 2 3 years that forex has really gone up means that the business should be affected. And if
Most
you
definitely.
sustain that, the next thing is to shut down. And there's also the part that yes, some entrepreneurs are running SMEs as a part-time, not as a full-time. So I can just run it for 2 years and I'm tired with it, and I just go back to
Move on to something else.
exactly, or even go back to full-time employment. Let me just go back to 9 to 5 and be collecting salary and not worry about worry about paying other people's salary. So
Right.
it's just a whole lot of
The mind
aspects
and all that.
that contributes to that. And yes, of course, we need businesses that will say yes, this business has been run by 4 5 generations in Nigeria. That's really, really the oldest so far is First Bank. It's yeah, it's a public company now, but then it's not a case of yes, it's passed from one generation to the other.
Okay. That's that's impressive. Anyways, now let's talk about gender. Yeah, I've wanted to touch on this, but I had to wait. So we'll get everything, all the data out there and the numbers. Now let's talk about gender, right? And from your observation, you quoted the World Bank, who said that as of 2020, there were about 66 male-run MSMEs for every 34 women-run SMEs.
Yeah.
And the gap just keeps widening. You would think that women would be more into the MSME sphere, and I don't even know what that is. Then there's also the age gap as well. Why are we still having this huge disparity, and how can we even reduce or address this?
Okay, so this is not in the report, so this is just me. So it might be a case of yes, there are people that are more prone to taking risks than others. So you have cases whereby
Mm.
you have a case of yes, males are more prone to taking risks than females.
Okay.
So and starting a business is a risk. Yeah, like yes, I
Indeed.
started a business. There might not be money for the next 6 months. Am I going to be able to survive that? So
Okay.
there is that. So it might be a case of yes, there is the risk part of it, and then it might
Mm.
also be yes, there are funding. So you have cases whereby, say, in the tech startup space now, you have cases whereby there are more when you look at each year, the share of companies that are full male founded, like all the
Mm.
co-founders are male, the amount they get in funding is way higher. Like the gap is really high to those that have one or two female co-founders, or they are female co-founders. So there is that.
Right,
So it
right,
might be a
right.
case of yes, they are not getting enough funding to start, and they don't have savings to start. So there's that. But then despite the fact that we have more male
More male.
females, and the average revenue for female is way higher than male.
You don't say.
So the average monthly revenue of
Ah,
female
okay.
entrepreneur is 2.5 million naira. And that of male is just 1.5 million naira. So that's about a 1.1 million difference. So yes, there are
Okay.
more male
So
entrepreneurs.
women know how to do business more.
Maybe, maybe. So well, then there are more, but then you look at
Interesting.
it, like it's still there's a gap between
That
the
gap
entrepreneurs. But
is
then when you
huge.
now look at figures, how much each is bringing in, so the female have more, they have a higher monthly revenue compared to their male counterparts. So
Okay.
I believe that's a plus for
That's a plus.
for the women.
Right, right, right. So as we wrap up our conversation, what's the main takeaway from this report and your outlook for MSMEs, SMEs and MSMEs in Nigeria?
Okay, so the key takeaway for me, so while we're working on this report, one thing that that one of the key few things that struck me was the fact that yes, we do there's this saying that we say education is a scam. But then when you
It's not a
look at
scam. Hmm.
that,
It's not a scam.
so I look at the figures and you see that people with higher education, their monthly revenue they have more monthly revenue than those with no education or just a first living certificate. So
Right.
yes, I say education is not a scam, but then the fact that you are educated might give you an idea. Okay, yes, there are things that you will see that someone that is not educated will not see. Another thing that stood out for me was the disparity in the regions. So you have the Southwest that are making millions, and you have people in the North entrepreneurs in the North whose monthly revenue is very, very low. So they see that disparity, and is in most cases disparity across major everything that we've looked at.
Okay.
Just look at what I mentioned earlier, Taraba having less than 25 states is in the north. And then you have states in the south like Lagos State with 1.4 thereabout. So commercial bank branches. So yes, that's that about things that stood out for me. Then the outlook. So we asked these entrepreneurs how they think, what they think will happen by the end of the year. So surprisingly, those who said 2024 was great for them still expect that by the end of 2025 it will still be great. And on the other side, those that say 2024 was not
Wasn't
that
there?
great, they still think that it's still going to be the same for them by the end of it, which is like there's no optimism there. It's a case of yes, well, we're still
Same
here.
thing I did. It's still I'm still here.
Exactly. But then all in all, so there are entrepreneurs that okay, yes, by the end of the year, they expect to have diversified their and so if they are selling one product before, want to sell multiple products to get more money and cut costs and do all that, and while also hoping that the government will step in. So yes, basically, at the end of the year, at least the SMEs are still hopeful that yeah, things will fall in place, which is really a good thing.
All right. I really truly hope that all falls in place because without the MSMEs and SMEs, trust me, our
So
economy
they
will
are
be
really
one to suffer.
they are the key to the economy, and everything they do
Yeah,
makes
sure.
sense for it to support and make sure that they achieve their goals.
Mm. Oh well, that's the much we can take today. It's been an interesting conversation, Lagos. I'm sure that you would want to go back, listen in, and get all the insight. Well, you can do that on YouTube. I will let you in on how you can do that. But I want to say a very big thank you to my guest. Thank you so much, Yinka, for all the
Thank you
insight.
very much for
Thank you so
having me.
much for putting in that report. But how can people reach out to you? Say maybe they want further update on the report. What is your social media handle that they can reach out to you on and get more
Social
updates?
media handle the Yinka Sonya or the Intelpoint. You can also go to intelpoint.co.
All right. Intelpoint is where
Dot
you can
co.
find. Okie doke. Well, Lagos, the conversation doesn't end here. And as always, hey, do your research. I know that you're looking at businesses that you can improve on. So look out. And if you need insight, you know how to reach Yinka and get your data up so you know where and how to also be an investor. You don't have to start the business, but you could also be an investor. So much more lined up for your listening pleasure here on Smooth 98.1.
For everything business, tools and tips.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much. That was very insightful. Like I said,
Right.
insights gathered.
Yeah.
All right. Have
All right.
yourself a pleasant evening.
You too. All
And
right.
I hope I really hope that you're not stuck anywhere.
I don't know. I'm actually home. I work from home today, so
Nice. See, it's
was
a plus plus for you.
I
So
was
lucky
asking
you.
Rotus this morning. I hope I won't have to come in. So I said I can do Zoom if my network is
Virtual. So
okay. And I
yeah,
mean, the
that's
rain doesn't
awesome.
affect the network, which is a plus. So
Glad for those little things. All right, have yourself